everybody. Welcome back to the Mike Gormley Show with our guest, Jennifer Otter Bickerdike. Like saying that. Anyway, we just heard the Bangles going down to Liverpool, which happens to be my favorite Bangles song. And it's because of the book that Jennifer has written called The Bangles Eternal Flame. Where'd that title come from, I wonder?
Oh God, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, it was very creative.
But do you know what? Like that again, like that was there was some challenges around doing that name, but I really felt we needed to go with that name. The publisher loved it. But it's about the eternal flame of how important the Bangles are. Yes,
Yeah,
it's the
yeah.
biggest song, but it's the eternal flame of their what they've done.
Yeah, but it's a massively successful song, and so the name is going to mean something beyond what you just said about the Bangles. Um,
Exactly, exactly.
so you were telling us about how you got going, and you got up to the point, I think, when you were going to move from California or New York to England.
Correct, yeah. And the only way I could do it at that age was to get a PhD. And so I thought, okay, I'll just go over and do it for a couple years. And it was hilarious, Mike, because I didn't really my proposal was that I wanted to do it on Joy Division. And when you first get to your induction, you're going around and everybody's talking about, oh, I'm going to do my PhD on da 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 da. And everybody's PhDs, as you can imagine, I went to it'd be like an Ivy League school where I got my PhD, the equivalent, and everybody has these very pretentious, I'm going to be comparing this philosopher to this philosopher, and they get to me and that's like, what is your PhD on? And I said, mine's on Joy Division. And that got like a lot of snickers and ridicule, but it ended up being great because um I got to I really got had to start thinking about, as someone that worked in the music business like you have, and worked so closely with bands, it started to be very interesting to me to see how memory works and how history changes quickly, and the truth changes quickly, the mythology around a band. And I worked with Nirvana very early doors, and it was fascinating because I my PhD was really about Nirvana, who I knew kind of what had actually happened because I was there, and then this whole mythology that's grown out of Nirvana and Kurt dying. And I put that against Ian Curtis and how important people say Joy Division are now, but at the time they were just basically a little indie band in Manchester.
Mhm.
So that got me started, and then I started teaching at the university, which is great. I love it, but I really wanted to do more, and my dream was to write. Like I've always loved writing, and I I found an agent and I wanted to do, you're going to laugh at this. I wanted to do a book about what would be called yacht rock now because I love Hall and Oates. I love No Jacket Required by Phil Collins. It's like one of my favorite records. And she's like, nobody would buy that. And she's like, why don't you talk about your love of vinyl records? And so that's why I wrote Why Vinyl Matters. And then everything just kind of started happening from there. I started doing TV stuff, doing talking head, like as an expert. And now I've done over 50 documentaries. I'm on the BBC quite often. It's bigger and better than I ever could have. I couldn't have even thought or dreamed it, to be fair.
But with all that going on, you're thinking about coming back to the USA.
All that's happening, and I really want to come home because I just recently had well, kind of not dissimilar to what we were talking about off the radio, but I just had one of my friends from high school. It was one of my first boyfriends. He just died of pancreatic cancer.
Mm.
And, when that stuff happens, a lot of times you pause and go, oh, I'm going to be nicer. I'm going to be more mindful. I'm going to be more grateful. And within like a week, you're back to your normal, just going crazy. But this really has hit me. And most of my friends live in the US. My family is in the US. And there's so many things I've missed. It's like even though I moved here because I wanted to invest away from my career, it's like this second part of my career has taken up all my time, and now I'm really ready to come home, use all my skills and connections, and just be around my family and friends. That's really what's important.
Cool. Well, come on back. We're waiting for you.
Oh, bless you. Well, I'm just patiently waiting for you or someone else to hire me somewhere. So
Oh, I get
I'm
it. Okay.
here.
You
I'm
need it. Oh,
available.
okay. This is LA Weekly version of passing the word along. But tell me something. How how are authors treated these days? And I mean,
Uh,
you know, you get somebody. We know musicians and how they get a deal and what they go through and all that sort of stuff. For those who do want to write, what does an author go through to get the damn book accepted and out, and then on there from there?
It is. That's such a good question. It's well, first of all, you probably do deal with this all the time with musicians, as I have. Oh, I have a song. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be brilliant. I would say every single day, some freak will, or someone I know, strangers and freaks, a lot, strangers and friends will be like, "Oh, I have a great book idea," or "I want to tell my story," or blah. Everybody thinks that they're a great writer, that they have a story to tell. The reality is, it is very, very difficult to get. I'm not trying to be a hater, but it's very, very, very difficult to get any sort of lucrative book deal. If you're lucky enough to get a book deal, most of them pay, like here, like the normal book deal is 15 grand,
Mhm.
which you could say brilliant, but like a book like The Bangles, if I started from when I first emailed them to when I finished, it was 6 years.
Really, I was going to ask. It had to be a long trek
It
to get it done.
it's a long time. It's all consuming. It totally is the same cycle that we see with with music now. You work so hard, work for years to put something out, and then it just like sinks to the bottom of, I don't even know, like whatever the world that nobody knows or cares about something, that's where it goes to. And it's very disheartening in a lot of ways. And one thing I see with a lot of my musician friends, it's like you have to do the work as the creative. You have to be out there doing the work. And that's, I'm not saying that that's bad, but the work used to be, would be being a fantastic writer and coming up with these amazing prose or insights. And as a musician, it would be a similar thing. Yes, you're on the grind. Like, yes, you're touring constantly and you're doing interviews, but you're not having to set up the interviews. You're not having to go and try to get people interested in you. With and social media, I think you're more a content creator than you are actually an artist. And it's the exact same thing for authors.
Yeah, it's true. Um, the um, the promotional side of everything is a real grind, and like you said, it used to have people like us
Yeah.
to set stuff up and to get things going, and now it's like, nah, up to you, buddy. It's
Yes.
it's
Yes.
tough stuff.
It's
However, people do break through and do get heard and get seen, and so we're talking about the Bangles. Um, we the book on Brittany, uh,
mm.
is it defending her?
Well, the book on Britney, that again, like Nico was such a great launching pad for me because it filled me with absolute rage at the way Nico had been treated, but it also made me see how little there was about some of these most really popular and important popular culture figures. Like even if you hate Britney, she still, you cannot begrudge her place in popular culture history. And I went, oh, sorry about that. I went to the British Library and there was literally nothing written about her. And this is when she was, I'm so sorry about that. Do you want to stop recording and I can
I
get,
don't know what's I don't know. You're being saying something
okay.
you don't know what for. Is it your dog?
Yeah, my dog is woofing.
No.
Um,
We can't we
hold
can't hear that at all.
okay, okay, good.
Do you want me to stop?
Yeah, stop. I'm just gonna get him out. I'm sorry,
Okay.
Jeremiah.
No problem.
When I decided to do the Britney book, Britney was still under the care of her parents in the court. And the way that I decided to do that book was to use her life and these kind of milestone moments that a lot of people know about her and show how it reflected the popular culture that was happening at the same time. And it was fascinating. It was so fascinating. Everything from the way she dressed to her. I mean, she has the most successful perfume of all time, and people don't really know or think about that, to just things like abortion. It's more her as a cultural touch point. And I found that really fascinating because you wouldn't necessarily think of Britney Spears as being a cultural touch point, if you would, and someone that would set minds in motion, but she really has. Whether it's, you can argue whether it's her or the marketing mechanisms behind her or a combination of those things. I found it really fascinating, and I wrote it in, like, literally, Mike, I think I wrote that book in a month.
Really?
Yeah. But it
Uh,
was hilarious because when I was writing that, Susanna was finishing writing her fiction book, and she would call me and be like, I'm in the zone today. And I was just like, does being in the zone mean having a greasy computer screen from eating crisps and salami sandwiches and being chained to the computer? That's my zone. Um, but yeah, I wrote that one really, just because it was really, it's the exact opposite of Nico and the Bangles in terms of, it just was exciting and it was happening then.
if now I don't know what the Bunnyman book, I haven't had a chance to check that out, but a little bit of Brittany, and we talked about Nico. So let's just say Nico, Brittany, the Bangles. You read all those three, and you may decide to become a plumber.
Yeah. A plumber probably make more money than you make as a, I mean, I'll definitely make more money than you do as a writer. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, it's just the story. I don't mean to, it's not like all negativity, but at least the three we are talking about, and maybe the fellow from Echo and Bunnyman are dragged through a lot of crap to get to where they are, and they may not even like it when they get there.
I
It's,
would,
I think people who want to be stars need to read your books, and not to
oh, bless
not to,
you.
not to dissuade them, not to get, but just have a bite of reality. Because I meet people all the time, as you do, of I want to do this, I want to achieve that, or you're on the other spectrum where they're they're in shock from what happened. It's a tough business, as is writing. Not just musicians, the arts in general, I would say. Um, anyway, speaking of the arts, we're going to go to a commercial, and we are going to, on the way out, listen to. I really do think this is one of the greatest pop songs ever, which
Mm.
would be "Wake Up Before You Go Go" by Wham.
Oh, yes.
Okay, we'll be back in a minute. It's the Mike Gormley Show. See you in a bit. Thanks.